Welcome to Managing Creative Studios. I'm your host, Susan Mann, and today we're going to be talking with Carl Moody, co-founder of Bootleg, the go-to workshop for building the impossible. From rejuvenating Auckland's creepy Santa, to creating oversized shoes to hang off billboards, to creating life-sized coal mine replicas to go into museum exhibits, Carl's team turns wild ideas into reality, and we talk about creative problem solving and pricing challenges, health and safety headaches, and why making things by hand is actually still magic. Carl shares 36 years of stories, insights, and behind the scenes of some of New Zealand's most iconic builds. Carl Moody, welcome to Managing Creative Studios.
Thank you very much, Susan. Good to be here.
So when we used to work together a while ago, in my last job, I used to have categories and a list of different vendors that we worked with, and we had, digital printers and card suppliers, and then we had multiple lists, and then one title was miscellaneous, and there was one name under it, and it was Carl Moody from Bootleg.
There we go.
So, we put you in the miscellaneous category because I don't really know how to describe you to someone that doesn't know what you do. So how would you describe Bootleg and what you do?
We've got many strings to the bow. Is that usually we get the jobs that are a little bit too hard for anybody else because it crosses a load of different genres. And so, it might be constructed with fiberglass and acrylic and timber, and it might have some electrical components. So it doesn't fit into a shop fitters, doesn't fit into just a display piece. And so, yes, 1 minute we're set builders, and you're building something for a movie set. The next minute you're just doing a small little piece for a TV ad or a backdrop for a studio. Yeah. You build anything and everything, right? Yes.
Anything that someone can dream up, you build.
As long as they have time and money.
Yeah. And so how long have you been around? What was the origins of Bootleg Design?
We started 36 years ago.
Wow.
I've been doing it for 40 years. I didn't start with Gareth.
Oh, okay.
He's my business partner now. He came in about 3 or 4 years into the picture. Started with Mike, and we used to work back in those glory days in the record industry and the video and everything industry. So back when HMV and Sounds and all those stores were open, they all had marvellous displays and big shop windows and things like, no different to like the Smith & Co. Christmas thing. So you, on a monthly basis, Elton John, it gets any of these things in there. And so that was a sort of an easy start within New Zealand, and within a few years we had everybody from Universal, Polygram, RCA, Sony, CBS, you name it. We were doing basically all of the display work, and that got bigger and better onto films and then exhibition sort of work. And both myself and business partner both come from a design background, so what it is looking at a project and just try and get excited and try and give it the best that you possibly can for that particular product. And it's a difficult one because it's very easy to get excited about most things.
Yeah.
Love design.
Yes, you studied graphic design,
yes,
did you not?
Yeah. That's how Gareth and I met at college back in England. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you find that graphic design comes in handy for what you do?
Oh, well, I think we could have put the 5 years of college into 1 or 2 years, really. They were the good times. That's when you really have a good time in life. The reality is you've got to do it much quicker. And for a lot less. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, but it helps that you can draw at least, right? Because you're always sketching up people's ideas.
Yeah, but it's also trying to think outside the box and to have some idea of colour or balance or theory. And so by, even if it's just art history or, even if it's just art history, is you're looking and you're understanding what works, and I think that if you come from a design background, you look at things and you break it down why it doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
And you'll say, oh, I like that, but I don't like that colour, or that shape's not right, that's thing. And so that's really the process that you take through to when a client comes in and says, oh, we've got this brilliant idea and we've got this. And you look at it and you go, oh, and you try to remould it as best as you possibly can to be, what would you say, liked isn't the right word, but
aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, for more than 75%
Yeah.
of the population, you know, that's a sort of like a little target thing. Is people don't understand why they go into, a good example is just going into a retail store, a shop. Some stores you go into it and straight away you feel really calm. You feel comfortable and you think, oh, this is lovely. Smells nice. The lights are good. The design, a beautiful ambient feeling. And then other places, you know, stark, lights are bright, this, and you can't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
And that sort of feeling, or that goes across everything, whether you're designing the packet for a beer brand or whether you're, you know, doing a set. There's, you know, you're not catering for the very small minority of the market. You have to cater for the majority.
Yeah. It's really about design is about making people feel things, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And Bootleg, the name, where did that come from?
Well, that's back to the record industry and back to all of those things. And so basically, I'm not a big Elton John fan, I shouldn't say, but to use that as an analogy, is that all of the work's done in the cover, the sleeve, and all of the bits. They've spent thousands of dollars on the design. And so basically what you're doing is just bootlegging, you're copying it. And so what you're doing is your window display, if it's white, if he's got a crown on, it's a giant crown, if it's a giant pair of glasses, if it's glitter on these things. And so what you're doing is just taking what already has to enforce that, so that if anybody sees that, they'll know exactly what that image is.
Yeah.
So if you think of the Rolling Stones, and you think of that album, and you think of the big red lips, you know, right, that's it. You know,
clever.
like Nike's tick.
Yeah, because when I was doing my research on you, I couldn't figure out the connection. I did not know what bootleg meant and with, you know, within the context of your company. So that makes so much sense now.
And a lot of the times you are, I mean, whether it's like the giant shoes we just did last month, giant pair of sneakers, you know, on a billboard, you're just copying things, but you're making them on a massive scale. Yeah. You know, and so it's just making it look great.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, for context for the listeners, I went through did a studio walkthrough of yours through your workshop, and there were some giant shoes that were sort of, you know, my height. They looked like, you know, Converse or Vans. Yep. And they were you were going to throw them. When I was a kid and I lived in a rural area, you'd always see shoes hanging over the power line. And
you weren't in a good area.
People would tell me that it was because you could buy drugs at those places. And I grew up and I thought that was all bullshit. Like someone had just told me fibs. But apparently it's true. So you've made some giant shoes to, hang over a billboard?
To hang over a billboard. How times have changed. Yeah. It's for medical marijuana.
Yeah, medicinal marijuana.
Yes, and so it's all sort of clean, green, and everything now. Yeah. And so the days have changed. But you know, it's nice when you get, you know, I don't know why we got onto that project, but is that they've come in with a good concept that you know is going to, when I say read or execute well. Yeah. You know, the client's going to be happy. It's going to be a pleasure making them. And what's really nice about that particular project is I said, look, we can make you shoot. A lot of the times when you do billboards, you're cutting out flat die lines, you're putting some lights behind things. And it's very same. Yeah. And this particular one, they said, no, we want real shoes. And I said, well, shall I just sort of box them out? We'll just do half shoes, you know, put them against them. No, we want the full.
And I'm going, but
you know, all the time you're trying to, I said time and money, or you're trying to save, you know, because you're so used to that in New Zealand. Yeah. And I said, no, you've got 6 weeks and, you know, what does it cost? You know, and so you go off and it's like lovely. And honestly, that's probably only about 4 or 5% of our jobs where you get the time, and I'm going to say this all the way through the next 2 hours, the time and the money to be able to do what you are passionate or what you really want to do. It's always compromises.
The detail on the shoes was absolutely amazing. I mean, you turned them over and showed me the underneath, and they had all the little patterns that you'd have on the soles of on the underside
and
of the shoes.
And that's fun. It's so nice doing something like that.
Yeah, and it must be very cool for the team to be able to step back and be like, we made that, and that's really cool.
Oh, and that's the big part of it, because all we are really as a studio is, and I can't, you might have said, so when I say tortured artists, I don't know how to, is that you probably lack the confidence to be able to go out and sell your own ideas, or your own concepts. But how nice is it to be able to sit back and make other people's ideas and make them the best that you can, and we get paid for every job, as opposed to sitting there, your work sitting there in a gallery and hopefully selling. So I like to think that the artistic itch in every one of the employees at work, of our team, is scratched. There's and to win little awards, or to get feedback from a client, and send round cake or drinks and thank you for, great job. It's like, yes.
Oh, that's really cool.
Money's a different thing. That's harder to get.
What is the typical process when somebody comes to you with a wild idea? Like, how do you start?
The first thing is look at it. You get excited. You throw the ideas round. You look at the practicality of it, and it's weird. Is that you just straight away you can see it, and you can see what the person's trying to portray and put out, and that's super exciting. You then look at the practicalities of it, and back again to the time and the budget that they have to produce this. I can't tell you how many times you'll go to an agency and they've come up with a fantastic idea, and you look at it and you're so enthusiastic about it, and they want to do it next Friday, and they've got $5,000, and basically it's 3 months of work and $100,000. Well, why did you even show a client that? Why are we sitting down having this conversation? It's really important to have something fit for purpose. It interests me as to why agencies and marketing teams don't come up with ideas earlier. It feels like they don't always pre-plan. You almost, if you want something big like that, you almost need to have it planned a year in advance, right? 100%. And I've said, and I've got a good relationship with a few agencies that. What you do, I say, look, as soon as you've got an idea, I said, I don't mind if it's a scribble. We'll sit in and we'll go down and we'll sit down and we'll come up with the idea before you go to the client. Because what we'll do is guide within a way and sort of work out, but and say, look, this is $50,000, that's $10,000, that's right, and look at what's possible and what's not, because it's no good inventing a rocket. And not inventing, just trying to sell out a rocket that you can't physically build.
Need the time and the money.
Yes. Boring.
And so, I mean, you use a lot of different materials in your workshop. What sort of materials do you lean on most?
Most of or a large part, everything needs to be painted. And when you say painted, you're just thinking of a wall, but 1 minute we're making something look like polished metal, the next thing it's rock work.
I mean, I've seen your workshop. You've got a paint room, so you go into this secret little room, and there's paint everywhere, like floor to ceiling, like bottles and in your tubes.
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but it's all basically on computer, and it's a whole mixing room. So we pride ourselves on being able to mix any colour in the world.
Wow.
So you give us a PMS, we can match that colour, we can match any of those. And the hard thing is with doing painting, we've got a good relationship with the likes of Resine and things like that, because a lot of the times what we're doing with paint is what you're not supposed to be doing with paint. You want it to age, you want it to craze, you want it to peel, you want it to look 200 years
Weathered
old. And so you're sticking tints into rock work, for example, like the it's a shame you didn't come through in the last few days. The coal mine now is pretty much finished.
Yes.
So all of that is painted,
underway,
so it's all moulded and things like that.
And you're making that for the museum?
In Huntly.
In Huntly, okay, yeah.
So that all has to be painted. In that, we do a lot of moulding and a lot of fiberglassing. There wouldn't be a week when we're not doing some fiberglass work.
Right.
You know, and it's a fantastic medium to give large 3D items.
Yeah.
You know, some strength, durability, and use.
Yeah. And then, do you have any sort of material that is your favourite to use? Something that's unexpectedly versatile? Or?
No, I mean, it's quite nice if when you're doing small things. We've done a lot of little models that you end up moulding and things like that. And modelling clay, which is just like an expensive plasticine, is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you can't go wrong with it. You can add or take away. We like working with wood for another reason, because usually we're painting the wood, so you can always add, take away, easy to cut.
Yeah.
Hate working with, not fiberglass, glass.
Yeah.
When you have to glass cabinets and go, just sharp, heavy.
Yeah.
Just, you know, the smallest mark or transporting things, and people always want, look, I need this glass case 5 meters wide by 3 meters high, and it's like, do you realise how heavy and how hard that's going to be?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know if you saw the Air New Zealand lolly jar.
No, I didn't.
That wasn't glass, but it was acrylic, but 5.5 metre tall by 2.2 metre wide lolly jar with 700 and something thousand Air New Zealand lollies in it. You had to guess how many lollies.
What were the lollies made out of?
They were lollies.
Oh, they were actual
the real
lollies.
actual lollies.
Oh, so little ones.
The
I was
little
imagining
tiny
them to be giant.
But the jar was enormous, absolutely enormous, and
many.
everybody thought, it's filled with, but they wouldn't have it filled with polystyrene. You just got lollies. No, it was absolutely full with lollies.
Yeah. So how many were there?
I can't. And to be honest, we had the count, and we were putting the boxes in. There was 560 odd per box, and we're on about 12,000.
It was your job to count out the
they
lollies.
were all counted.
Oh, Jesus.
But then we left this one, and so because it was out there for however many air points you would win, and guessing all of these things, the last however many boxes was put in by other people. Sworn to secrecy.
I see. Because I was going to say, would it be like, was there an exact number, or were you just like,
No. It was
did they
exact.
pick a number and say that's how many are
We
in
had
there?
to weigh every box.
Oh, interesting.
So it was
official.
like and the boxes, you know, would be from 511 lollies to 527.
Yeah.
And they had a spreadsheet with every box with every amount of lollies, so that they could say, right. You know, I think you got prizes for the people who were the closest to the actual number. Those, when they come to you with that, that's a classic example of not being excited about the road. You look at it and go, oh my God, how, why?
Yeah.
And so what you have to do is really put your thinking hat on, because the weight of that, we're talking the whole thing weighed over 5 tons of lollies, which is just ridiculous. And the pressure on that, so it's 20 mil acrylic, you need to have some structural integrity to be able to lift it, to crane it. It had to be transported all around the country from Invercargill up to Whangarei.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
so,
interesting how you get things to places.
So what we had to do is a steel arm, so you're blocking certain parts off, you're working, and so there's a massive part of your time in winding or looking back to make it practical and you know, basically buildable, But what you don't want to do is lose the design and the look, the look's integrity. So there's this constant battle of these things of, we need to have this giant steel structure, but we want to be able to see all the way through this jar and see it all clear. And so there were minimal metal pieces on the side, which graphics ran down so that you couldn't see the metalwork, the rest, and then you didn't need to join it. So it seems simple at the end, but...
Is there a huge cost in transporting things sometimes? Because, I mean, I've seen a photo of the sheep on the back, strapped to the back of the truck. Huge sheep. Yeah. What's his name?
Shaun the Sheep.
Shaun the Sheep,
that's Aardman.
And you can see his little eyes over the top of the truck, and he's just this giant sheep. And so, like, I mean, it's just, I just don't understand how you're putting up such huge structures. What does it take to...
You break down, you understand the road rules and things. You don't want to be moving a house, you know, and having the roads closed and going through the middle of the night and everything like that. If we can keep things within a 2.4, that's a legal thing to drive down the road, and that's what you try to do. So if someone says, I want something 4.8 by 4.8 and things like that, we're straight away, we're working, how can we cut this in half, join it later on and transport it and things like that. And a lot of times, this is what I was saying, going back to the practicality of things, is they aren't thinking of it. They don't understand material restraints, sizes and different things like that. And so just by taking 100 mil off something, sometimes suddenly transport isn't an issue. You know, the cost is down by 20% because you're not getting oversized sheets of things. And so it's that knowledge of those things that you try to impart as early on as you possibly can.
And then how do you erect these giant structures? Because let's say the centre on Ponsonby Central. He's very well known, somewhat controversial, some might say. But I'll just reiterate that Carl did not come up with the idea of Santa wearing fishnet stockings or anything like that. He's just the guy who makes them. So how do you get a giant Santa up on top of a building like that?
Well, what you have to do when you're looking at things like that is you're going to high ab it. It's going to be craned into place. And so as soon as you're craning, you need a lifting arm. And when that lifting arm, that has to transport the weight. So it's very simple. There's a steel plate down at the bottom that bolts to the ground when he's up there underneath his feet. And that steel plate has huge box section steel running up his legs, running all the way up his back, all the way to the top of his neck, with a huge eyelet that screws in so that you can just hook a crane in and lift this thing up. Sometimes you don't have that benefit, and they're lighter, smaller, polystyrene things. For example, if you're doing in something in an exhibition hall and it's up for 3 days, 4 days, the challenge there is to try and make Santa or whatever the cheapest you possibly can, the quickest and the easiest. And sometimes it's in the corner. You don't do anything on the back of Santa. You've only got basically a bit of relief on the front and things like that. It's just carved out of poly. There's no fiberglass over it. You're painting. They're the jobs I won't say we don't like, but you don't get that satisfaction and that kudos that you're going, because the thing that's going out, anybody who comes in goes, oh, that looks great. You can see all the imperfections and you would love to spend another week.
Right.
You don't have the time and you don't have the money. And I know I'm going to say it all the way through, but it's so hard. Most people will pay for 2 weeks of work and we'll give them 3 weeks because it's your own. You can't let something go out. You're invested into something, so you keep looking at it.
That's your
and
brand,
you keep doing it.
You've got to do quality work. Yeah. And speaking of Santa, now, I had always thought that you were the man behind Creepy Santa. However, Creepy Santa is from 1960 was when he was first erected, so definitely wasn't you that me. Created it. But he's on your website. So what's your relationship with Creepy Santa?
Maury Purdy's father, who used to be Perfects, they made mannequins, his father made the original Santa.
Oh, yeah.
And the original Santa looked good. It had nice wide eyes, beautiful, well, I won't say beautiful, but, you know, you could see the lips, and yes, a little bit creepy, but because the face was open, and this is a classic thing with design, if you have big smiley eyes and a smiling things, you would think he was creepy. But the fact that people over the years and years and years, for 40 years, had repaired him until his eyes became tiny little slits. Yeah. And he had these pierced lips that just he looked really bad.
Yeah, he
really,
did look bad over
really,
time. Yeah.
really, really bad. And so we were called in by Heart of the City, and they said, "What can you do?" And I said, "Oh, look, it's a massive job. It's going to cost way, way too much money."
Because nobody wanted to pay for the maintenance
Nobody
and repair,
wanted or
right?
anything like that. I said, "Look, I'll tell you what we can do. We can do a facelift." You know, and so that, you know, got all the media, got all the hype and everything like that afterwards. But basically what we ended up doing was cutting out the whole of the mouth area and the eyes, and basically widened and opened the eyes, opened the mouth and smiling, and just brought some colour in the cheeks and swerved just to bring it. And it was unbelievable, the difference if you looked at the old one and then you looked at he just looked happy again. And obviously everybody had hated that little wiggly finger, so we just cut that and made
closed
it
his hand up. And sadly, the iconic Creepy Santa is in 2020. I think he was taken down permanently, right?
Yeah, to Whittaker.
He's now in the Whittaker Toy Museum. If anyone wants to go and check him out.
I don't know if the reindeer. We made the reindeer from scratch. Those giant reindeer.
Were you in
presents.
charge of installing? Because that must have been a wickedly difficult job.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So, you know, we made it all, the hot Santa and the giant reindeer, which you don't think, you know, they don't look that large, but 13 metres by 12 metres tall.
Well, Santa himself was 18 metres, wasn't he?
It's just absolutely immense. And people don't, you know, I won't say give credit or anything. It's when you look at billboards, you don't really appreciate. You look at that, a 12-metre billboard. It just, you know, because you see them from a distance, it's nothing. When you lay that out on the ground,
it's huge.
And you can basically fit like 4 cars.
And the billboards you do always come off the edge of the billboard anyway. Like that Kill Bill one that you did, it had blood everywhere, all over the cars next door, which I guess were props, right?
Yes, correct.
And the blood must have been cleanable, but permanent enough to stay there for a
lot of it was vinyl.
Oh, okay.
We stuck vinyl all over the cars.
Oh, interesting.
And some vinyl on the ground and some poster paints. Yeah, things like that.
It's very cool.
Yeah. So you get those nice, really nice ones, and then you get ones that you won't get any kudos for, but they're incredibly challenging. A perfect one was Christmas. Last Christmas, I think it was, and we got a job for Comvita through really good designer, and it was honeycomb out at the airport. And when she came in and explained it, I'm like, how are we going to do this? Because it was all, we would try and do it in fiberglass. Basically, this thing would be 5 odd metres long by 3.5 metres, all organic, all curves, with all of those lovely hexagonal pieces that honeycomb has, just in huge waves floating around. But there was no fixings from the ceiling. It all had to hang off a post within the airport. Had to be safe with fire, safe with lighting, had to be able to see through. You know, like the amount of restraints was huge. And so where that becomes, when I say fun, is that you break it down and you work out the problems. And it was such a classic New Zealand thing, like the number 8 fencing wire. We ended up using hurricane fencing, you know, chicken wire, basically.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we made up an armature as light as we possibly could with some huge steel structures. And then got wax, you know, the sandwich wrappers, you know, that are made out of beeswax. So we got those, cut those into cones, called them up like a waffle ice cream, pierced them into and glued them into hexagonals. 13,000 of those.
Wow.
and it just hung there beautifully with enough glowing light to come through.
Cool.
And you get a huge amount of personal pride. You know, most people wouldn't even give it a second look, but you know, you've done that. You've worked out a huge amount of problems to come up with that final display.
Yeah. Problem solving is a big part of your job, isn't it?
Yeah. The biggest part.
And how do you deal with that? With how much R&D, like research and development, goes into the start of each job, and how do you factor that into the timeline?
I think probably nowadays both ways. We sold ourselves short years ago. We didn't factor it in. We just believed that we could do. Yeah, look, I can do that. You know, that can-do attitude, and it would always take longer than it should, and you can't charge the client for something taking longer. And I think now what happens is, 36 years, we have learned quite a lot. Yeah, and it's a lot quicker going straight from A to Z than it is going all the way to S and coming back to A again. And there is a hell of a lot of that in the early days. It's less now, and I think what we've done is built up quite a good collaboration with other people that are good engineers, metalwork engineers and things like that, so that if I have a problem in the R&D, I can sit down and the two of us can sit down and work out, this will actually work. Yeah. You know, and without losing that design integrity. Yeah.
So lots of R&D. And what about health and safety in what you do? Health and safety's got to be pretty important.
It's an incredibly hard one, Susan. You know, we've got health and safety basically workshop book that we have to go through. We're audited as such because of the chemical factor of our work with paints and with the resins and everything. Constantly having to update fire and educate everybody on the different things that are coming through.
How do you make health and safety fun for people?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
No, it's not. Other than if you don't do this and you lose a finger, it's a lot more fun having your finger than losing your finger.
Your workshop is incredibly dangerous. I mean, I've been through there. There's a big workshop, woodworking area at the back. There's a lot of tools. I mean,
everything everywhere, and touch wood, all this. But yes, you make everybody safe. Everybody's aware with the tools that you have, and it's what it is. We have had staff before, and you wouldn't allow certain people when they come in to actually work a lot of the tools for that reason. Right. And you wouldn't ask them to do so just because you wouldn't trust them for their own safety. The hard part on the health and safety is what everybody's done, all of the corporates, whether you be working out at the airport, in Westfield Malls, Sky City, any of the places that you want to work, they've all got very strict health and safety things. Yeah. And you adhere to those, but there is a certain element that has got just a little bit ridiculous. And, two analogies. One, I can go and buy a brand new extension lead from Bunnings, and if I go on site, because it hasn't been checked by an electrician and got a tag on it to show that it's safe, you shouldn't use that power cord. It's brand new. There's no nicks in it. You can see it works perfectly. And then the step ladder, platform and 3 points. So, if I have to put something up that's only 6 feet, 7 feet in the air, and I'm on 2 steps, 3 steps. Why am I having to be on a platform ladder? And the moment that you have to have 2 points of contact, 3 points of contact, you can't hold, you can't drill, you can't do anything. So you've suddenly got someone trying to hold another person ladder, and so we did.
You've turned a one-man job into a three-man job.
Yeah, to a three-man job, exactly. And how can you justify that? You know, yes, there is an element of danger. You could fall off the ladder and you need to be safe. But a lot of it comes down to best practice and to, you know, have we lost our common sense?
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know?
mean, health and safety is something that nobody likes until something happens, and then everyone's like, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you follow the rules? And why didn't you enforce this? And so I understand it's a necessary evil, but it must be pretty painful with what you do.
And ours is very, very difficult. You know, they change on a yearly basis. Like I said, we're audited for loads of different. And from 1 year, well, you'll pay for everything. You'll get new doors put in that basically 60-minute burn time or whatever the things are. And then the next year it's got to be 90 minutes. You only put the doors in the year before. And so there's a constant thing on those.
Yeah. And when you were talking about not letting certain people use tools, I mean, how do you hire for a job knowing that you have so many dangerous tools, knowing that there's so many different areas of a project that might need to be worked on or multiple projects? How do you hire? Do you hire someone specifically, like I need a welder for this project, so I'll hire a welder? Or do you hire someone and then shape them and train them in different areas?
Both. We used to have a lot of staff. You know, we're down to only 6 as a team now. The people in the woodwork shop come from a building and cabinet making background. They've been doing tools, so they are qualified in that. The same with the painting. But yes, you know, guys come in. We've had guys come straight from school, and one of the guys we've had from school has been over 20 years with it, and so he's learned absolutely every aspect and become a very, very valuable part of the team by learning everything. And in some ways, that's a better way because you're a sort of, for want of a better word, an empty sponge. Yeah. And you just fill it with all the stuff you want to, as opposed to coming in with all. In saying that, people coming in with set ways, you might actually learn something from them. Yeah. We had an incredible guy many years ago. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. Who worked in the film industry all around the world. Has worked on, you know, everything from Batman to Superman movies and things like that. And he was an incredible chippy set builder, and just to watch him work, you know, it was incredible. You know, building castles, building these things, and so you'd have your chippy who you thought was an incredible chippy, and he's working away and he's building something up. Well, Ray hasn't done much, and then all of a sudden Ray's got his is finished and he's halfway through. Yeah, you know. So how much do you do for props and sets for film and TV? It's probably less now. Everything, you say AI and just Photoshop and everything else has had a massive impact on those sorts of things. It's just incredible for the small little models we used to do and all the bits and pieces. Yeah. But we probably used to do 50%. It'd probably be 10% now. Oh, wow. But what is weird, because we come from so many different sort of, I want to say angles. We do so much museum work. Yeah. At the moment, we've been doing a lot of heritage work. Yeah, you have worked on a few. Like you've worked on the Civic and on Town Hall and all sorts. When they, you know, it's a classic. You've got a beautiful ceiling rose, or you've got a nice old cornice, and it's either crumbled away in an area, or they're having to do a renovation, and suddenly they're missing 3 meters of cornice. Yeah. What do you do? Yeah, you know, it's incredibly detailed, you know, with all of these different sort of nose, dart, whatever you want to, you know, detail on there. And so what we've been able to do is take silicone moulds of that, either reproduce them in plaster or reproduce them in fiberglass, and it's a sort of seamless finish going through, so that it still looks like. Interesting, because I had a question in here about the detail that you need to get on those sorts of replicas and whether that was really stressful. But if you're taking a mould of it, it's probably not very stressful at all, right? It's just, it is what it is. Yeah, yes and no. It's not on those, not stressful at all, because it's only as good as the thing that you make. Yeah. We've been doing loads of work around Britomart, around the old post office and the old Heyman something building on the left-hand side where... I think it's bread and butter or bread or some whatever that nice cafe is there. Yeah. But where it gets really hard is if you're moulding something and, for example, a slice of kiwi fruit. So it doesn't matter how well you mould a piece of kiwi fruit, you can't, the translucency, the juice, the light, the fluffiness on the outside. And so you can't just take a shape and paint it and expect it to look like thing. It looks too flat.
Yeah.
It looks solid and artificial. So what you've got to do is look at it from what it actually, the colours coming from way deep inside it. So you're building up layers. So, you know, in order to do a slice of kiwi fruit, you would cast clear resin with a green tint inside of it so that it had, for want of a better word, that luminosity. So you could almost see through it. And so the cast isn't always just, oh, we'll cast it exactly. It's a slap of paint for something like Heritage. At the moment, Gareth's been fixing up all of these tiles and he's copying 150-year-old tiles that have got old, basically crazed glaze. And the colours, it's faded and it's just dark green to light green. So you're airbrushing the greens in, you're going over with clears, you're making the clear craze, you're rubbing in waxes to bring all of the detail in. And so that's that attention to detail if it's needed. And a lot of times you get that within museums if you're taking the mould of a certain artefact that may be 20,000 years old and they're standing over you and you've got white gloves to do this thing. They want it to be perfect.
Yes, that does sound stressful. And so with all the stress that you guys go through, you know, how do you maintain a good culture in the workshop?
Oh, that's a good question. Hard question and a good question.
When I went there, it looked like a fun environment. You had the music blasting. I mean, all the guys were hiding in the lunchroom because they didn't want to be on camera. But, but you know, it looks like a fun place to work.
It was lunchtime. Or breakfast, actually. Breakfast. We like to think so, but like anything, it has its stresses. And don't get me into the sort of the youth of today as an old grumpy old man. I've got more and more cynical over the years.
You can share. You can share if you want.
Is that yes? I mean, it is so close for a lot of people. So close to the most perfect job. You know, if you liked making things, you liked being creative, you liked just having fun from a kid thing, then yes, fantastic job. But you still have to sand things and do horrible bits of the work, get covered in dust, paint things, work some terrible hours at times to get things finished because of the time frame. Yeah. And then just when you think it's all going well, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to finish that. That's got to go out now. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I mean, but you get paid for their overtime hours, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes back to, like, if we were plumbers, I shouldn't use that, or electricians or any of those, and you paid a few materials and you paid by the hour. Yeah. We wouldn't be having the conversation. Yeah. And this is how our business would be a perfect business. You and
Gareth probably don't get paid for the overtime, but the staff get paid, so it's not that bad, right? No, if you're getting paid for your overtime, you're all good.
Yeah, but it's still incredibly hard when you price a job, you know, because you look at it and people don't want to, you can't, for most jobs, say, oh, it's between 10,000 and 15,000.
Yeah, they want a specific number.
They want a specific. And so you're trying to go higher, but the job won't go ahead. So you'll do the job for $11,000. And we do the timesheets and we do all the materials, and yet it's come out at 13,400. We said between 10 and 15, and that's exactly what it was. Yeah. But you've gone cheaper. And that, I won't say it ruins the business. It's just an incredibly hard aspect of it because your passion, you don't want to lose the enthusiasm and the drive that you have for each project and the things that you're making to do the very best you can and make the best thing that you're doing. But when it comes down to that thing again, that time money thing, it just ruins it. Yeah. And that's the thing, the guys on the floor, they don't have to experience that. But of course they do. If I go down and they're probably 2 days away, the rate that they're going on a particular job.
Yeah.
And I say, whatever happens, that's going out tomorrow, we have to get to a finish point. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do these pieces.
Yeah.
And, everybody's happy, but it takes away that enjoyment and that satisfaction.
Yeah, because you want to do a good job and you want to see it in its best possible light when
Always.
it's finished.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's like every business. I mean, we have the same in 3D, doing 3D art and what I do. It's like the deadline's, tomorrow, you've got to get it out and it's going as is because that's all we can do in that time frame. So it's unfortunate, but sometimes you just can't push the deadline.
Yeah. At the time, it's really hard, and it's hurtful. A week later, you're on to the next job, and you don't think about it.
I do find that about you. I was when I was thinking of questions to ask you, I thought, the time that we've spent together, working together, when I worked at Sky City, you would turn up, you'd be incredibly busy, you'd immediately start talking about what we needed to talk about, what we needed to do. Meanwhile, people were offloading the truck at the same time, and then as soon as you're done, you're off to the next job. You're a very, very organised person, which I appreciate. But how you get so much done, it's just unbelievable.
Well, thank you. But it's not without, I'm in bed at 9 o'clock at night, out cold, we get up at just after 5 and you just go. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. I think that it's a little hard because it does run, I think, detriment of your family. Yeah.
Do you work a lot of weekends?
We used to work pretty much every weekend.
Yeah. Are your partners involved in the business as
yes,
well or not?
Yeah, both my wife and Gareth's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say every weekend, we wouldn't work the full. Sometimes we would work the full weekend.
That helps so that they work with you because they understand.
Yeah. They both do a part-time role to come in, just keep an eye and do books and things. But is that as we've got older, it's like you've got to have that time, and so we might do a couple of hours on the weekend, or work until 8 o'clock at night, or do a billboard at 3 o'clock in the morning, and things like that. But it used to, I would say for 20 years, probably worked a minimum of 60 hours a week, every week.
Yeah. So, with all of this overtime that you work, you've just done some amazing projects, and you're doing that overtime to get those out the door. What is your most memorable or favourite project that you've worked on?
It's funny because you mentioned that to me before, and I said that there is so many. It's almost impossible to say when you go back. We've got books and books of old photographs and old bits, because 36 years is a long time. It's a long, long time, and it's almost a sort of running joke within the workshop is, remember the giant pineapple? And we go, yeah, when was that? 3 years ago. Do you realise that was 12 years ago? And so they all sort of blend in. The amount of work that we've pumped through, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Jobs and the amount.
Some that I know off the top of my head, there was a giant crab.
Yep.
Very realistic. Who was the client for that?
That's Niue. That's over on the island. You come out as you fly in, and you come out. It's on a big roundabout. Yeah. The legs came off.
Did you guys get to go over there and install it?
No. We were invited, but we were too busy. A giant coconut crab. Beautiful coconut crab.
It's really cool, really cool. And then Shaun the Sheep was very cool. Yeah,
that's for that's been, when you say fun jobs, that's been really nice. First, Aardman were, I won't say hard, they've got a brand, a very good brand, and what they do is just incredible. And so when they wanted their characters made, Giant Shaun and the farmer and Bitzer and, all of the different characters that we end up making, it was like the design guide, the everything that was involved. But once we'd made 2 or 3 and they could see the quality and they could do things, that was a really nice thing that it's like,
they look
these
cool.
These guys know what they're doing.
Where did they go?
They're all down at the Agrodome.
they're
in
still there.
Rotorua. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. What else can I think of off the top of my head? The giant Coca-Cola bottle, what was that about?
I think that was just Coke Zero, a launch
Doing
and
an
a countdown.
experiential
Yeah, for an
thing.
experiential thing.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, you come across the people, again, like the person who is currently managing or running the Agridome down in Rotorua at the moment, David, a really nice guy. We worked with him maybe 15, 20 years ago, and he was on the luge, and we had to do all this jelly bean art. And so I don't know if you've ever seen that art.
Is that the one on your website with
with all the
yeah,
tiny... So basically you do all these famous pictures, like the Mona Lisa,
yeah.
out of jelly beans, all the coloured jelly beans.
Yeah.
And, it's like...
Were they real jelly beans?
Real jelly beans, cast in. So it's like 1 minute...
Did a lot of sugar get consumed during those couple of weeks?
One minute you're doing jelly bean art, next minute you're making a giant, 12-metre coconut crab, then you're making a coal mine that's going down to Huntly, or a huge oil tube that's going up to Marsden Point before it closed. So you just... It doesn't get boring.
Yes.
Yeah. It can't get boring.
And you're saying that you knew the guy at the Agridome. I mean, is a lot of the work, because you don't have a huge digital footprint, I mean, you've got an Instagram and you've got a Facebook, but you don't post a lot. Is all of the work that you do, does that come through word of mouth or, and do you have a lot of repeat customers? Yeah?
Yeah. So my saying always is you're only as good as your last job. And the main thing is that if we're doing a job for you, that you're happy with it. If you're not happy, you tell us. And that way, you'll always have work.
Yeah.
And it's that can-do attitude. And so the key thing in a perfect world, and it's not a sales pitch, is you come in with an idea and a concept. Like we're going right back to the beginning. We look at it, and if you may be stuck on your idea, or you may say, oh, this is what I'm trying to portray. We might add something to that idea, and I love this. And then we go down to the, nitty gritty, the time, the money again. And then that's that key punch part of it. That's the pleasure and the fun. You've created something from nothing.
Yeah. That's very cool. Very cool. And then would you say that you have busier times of year, or are you just busy all year round?
Yeah. It definitely runs up to Christmas. It's a weird one. What we try to do is book in the museums and things around January, February, March, because that's obviously holiday and quiet time. Yeah. So we usually, when I say knock off, it gets quiet from about the 15th of December onwards. And so any job... like pieces of artwork, like we're looking at the moment, a giant 5-metre.
What's that for?
We started it a year or so ago. It's in the Central Square. It's an art piece from an artist, and so it will be just taking their tiny maquette and then building. And so we do a lot of work for artists, but that's something we can't sort of promote. Shouldn't say, because what you're doing, you're just the hands. They've come up with the concept and the idea, and with a manufacturer for those, is that a lot of times there's a lot of artists out there who don't physically do their own work.
The ideas,
they do.
People,
They've cut the ideas, and so it's their work, and so I'm not taking anything away from in that. But they don't work
not
building the building. That's
fine,
exactly it. So you have someone in there, but some people get a little bit. But if it's a bronze, or if it's this, or if you're making something or sculpting something,
they want people to believe that they're the ones.
They're the ones that have spent every little piece on it.
Yeah.
But it's just. In a very simplistic way, is trying to keep everybody happy. I know that sounds like utopia, but the client, your staff, yourself, to try and keep that, and that's that work culture as well. The moment that it becomes really monotonous, boring, and just too hard work, the work suffers for that.
And because when we worked together, you were my account manager, I guess. Are you the account manager for everyone, or does Gareth take some of the
I'm
clients?
The account manager,
so you're the
for
face
everyone.
of the company.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And is that how the roles have fallen? Like, does Gareth
he doesn't
prefer
like
to
people.
be? Because I was thinking Gareth is so nice and friendly. Like, I wondered if he was an account manager for other clients.
No. Well, yes. In saying that, no. It's just easier. We'll swap round. He'll go out on different jobs, and so, for example, doing these tiles, he's speaking to Heritage because he's down there and they're saying what he's doing, and he's doing the airbrushing. So it would be stupid for them to talk to me if he's sitting there doing the airbrushing or doing those. What we need to be really is, and it needs both of us, is that we both have got each other's back. Is that, if he's out, I've got the workshop and I make sure that everybody's moving along, and vice versa. And so what you have to do, for want of a better word, is, say, feed the beast, is like get the work into the workshop. And the whole thing about it is just getting everything in, your materials, your ideas, your concepts, breaking them down into those practical things that you can actually, manufacture and make, and then getting them out as quickly as you possibly can. And you need a constant stream, and in a perfect world, it would just flatline, unlike the heart attack that we usually deal with.
Yeah. And how did a business like yours manage through COVID? Because I imagine while we were all locked indoors, there wasn't a lot of big installation style work for you to do.
No, I got a couple of stupid jobs, which was a thing for Matchbox, or so. There was some like racetrack thing, so I made it in the garage, and we had to YouTube, and so there were certain things that you were doing like that. But no, we were cut off.
Tough time.
It became a lot easier because I won't say not essential at all, but because we weren't interacting with anybody else, it was really easy for, once we'd come out of COVID, for us to be able to go in and work and other people not work. So I could go and work, things. But it wasn't a good time at all for us, because we're manufacturing. It's not like you're selling stuff on the internet or doing things. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me and you worked together a little bit through COVID. We were putting up COVID signs and things like that. Really unfun stuff just to get by.
And it's just anything that at that point, I mean, we were making things, and when it came out, you're selling the pieces off, and I think, which was lucky in some respects, we lost 2 staff within that time. Once they lost, past
R.I.P.
they left. They didn't. And that was probably very helpful. But it just incredibly hard. But it was hard for the whole country, so everybody understood. And everybody sort of battled down. And what was really, really good was that straight after that first lockdown, before we got to the second one, there was an immense rally. Like you're saying, we've got to put these signs, we've got to do this. We were so busy because everybody had been shut down for that time. And then as it came to the second time, it was just, that was hard. That was really hard, because you hadn't, for want of a better word, build up the war chest. Not that we had loads of money in there, but you were in a good space, and we just drained everything, every bit of material that you had in, every single thing. You're just down to it costs.
And what is the hardest part of running a business?
Money, being paid, getting paid. And
you're having to chase clients quite a lot.
And you can do a job, and the client's constantly telling you how happy and how brilliant they are, but they'll take 3 months to pay. And, if that's $60,000...
You've got to pay the staff from somewhere, right?
Yeah. And so you live permanently in, sort of overdraft, or unless you can build up those things in it. That's that if I had the sort of time again, it would be lovely to have someone in to manage the business, you know, to be able to put it forward, to get someone else to do it, you know, a number cruncher. But where I think things would be an issue there is I still believe in myself enough to, if we sit down and we're going through a creative and a concept and an idea, to be able to, and I'm not saying sell it, but see how you can make it work and add something to it, as opposed to it just falling dead. Because a lot of times you can look at a job and you can say that can't be done in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So you think if you've got a manager or a general manager or a number cruncher of some kind, they're going to be like, you can't do that. Don't take that project. Yeah. And you're more like, we can do it. We'll figure it out. We'll find a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you know, that's the hard thing. It doesn't become the money thing again. You know, it's you know, I look back many years ago. We did a job. And we sat in with the photographer, and we did some small props. I can't even remember what they were. And the first photographer did all his bit, and the photographer knew the client, and the client was really happy, and the whole thing came out. And after the job had finished, the photographer had rang us up and said, you know, because they'd really cut us down on the price, the agency and everything. And he said, the client just rang me. He said, you never guess how much they got billed for this job. And I said, well, how much? And it was like 20 grand for us. And our part for making all the models, the photographers, all the work, basically the whole bit was $6,000. And so it's this whole balance of being fair on things. And I think that's the ethics as well as a business thing. Is we've always and I don't want it to sound like a sales pitch or whatever, but it's like a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. And so you give your heart and soul in your work and you things like that, and you just expect to have that same respect back.
Of course,
and that's usually by just being paid and being paid on time and not being...
I'm very anti people asking for discounts. I think I just think if you want that service, you should pay for it. And I know people because you want the job, or you know, you'll often undersell or you know, take a job for less than you should, and that's really hard because it can be an endless, especially if there are clients that continuously come back and they're like, well, last time you did it for this much.
Exactly.
That's hard.
And as I said, going all the way back again to the beginning, it's just that plumb thing. If we were paid by the hour, just put your timesheet in, it would be just incredible. It's the business that takes it away from that. But if you don't have that part, you don't have the other. So, it's that close. 75% of perfection.
And some of the projects that you work on, I imagine, are quite technical in some aspects. Do you have someone that you partner with to do the technical side of things, or do you get someone in, a specialist? Or
as I said earlier, whether it be engineers, whether it be electricians, whether it be glass or acrylic experts, and different things, yes. As soon as it's outside the realms, I always say our job is to make it look pretty. And if you need to know the wind loading on something and the weight distribution on the footprints, things, you employ an engineer to tell you whether that's safe in Wellington or whether I can make it and I can think that it's going to be sound and best practice and everything, but there's no figures and there's no sign off on it, and so you do need the experts to give you that background. You've been working with Gareth for a really long time now. So he didn't start with you at the company. At what point did he come in there? About 4 years in. So we've been working like 32 years together.
And so what's your secret to maintaining a long-lasting business relationship? Are there any punch-ups or anything going on every now and again?
Well, we were good friends before. I think what it's hard is that we're together more. I'm together with him more than I am with my wife, with things. So it's the same as any relationship. You're going to be up and down. And the hard bit is that business and personal are two different things. And when you bring those together, the line crosses and blurs a lot of the times. How you act in a business way or decide because you're deciding you need that or we need to finish that job by this time we do that is different to how personally you feel and how, you know, you have the respect and the care. And so we are two very different people. And so on that, we would cross over on lots of things. But that, I think, has also been the strength because he would curb my enthusiasm for something that will come back and bite us. But what's the true strength is the support that we have for each other. You know, on any job that at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, if that billboard's going up and you've booked that in, that I'll be stood there at 2:45 and he'll be there at 2:45 and we'll be discussing it and putting on. You never have to second guess about if he says he's going to do something, he does. If I say I'm going to do something, it's
a high level of trust.
Yeah, a massive, and that respect with each other on that. And that's really, really hard to get, you know, I can't, and that's what I was saying about employees and having them in, you know, it's a lot of the younger boys, you know, it's a Monday, it's a Friday, they're not, you know, or right, we've got this and this tomorrow, and you plan every day. We sit down, have the meeting, you go through the job lists, you do everything. Tomorrow we've got to do this and this. Right, Ray can do that, he can do that, Damon can do that. Two of them don't come in the morning.
Yeah.
You've just spent the last, you know, evening, half an hour working all those plans out. That's the hard part. You also can't expect people to be as passionate, maybe you can, as that you are about it, or as engaged as you are. You know, you've massively got the skin in the game, and it's your reputation.
As much as you do.
No, you know, and it's not trying to brag about something, but you when you're saying that they're like that high level of trust. You know, a classic one is a billboard at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Did one for Heineken a few months back that involved engineers, involved all health and safety, road closure, everything. It's basically organising 20 different people to all be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, a crane driver to lift this thing up across the roof of Ponsonby Central, people to be able to install it, the lights, the rigging, us to be able to do it all within a time frame. We have to be off that road by 5 o'clock. We've got a 2-hour window. Everybody has to do their part within those time frames. And so what happens over years and years is that you get people that you've worked with 5 or 6 times. They know you, you know, they'll be there 5 minutes early. They know how you work, and you create these wider teams that are outside of your own, you know, workplace, that come together to make these things work, to make the projects actually work. A lot of people don't realise, they're just like, oh, that's an extension on a billboard, but
there's
it's
a lot
like
that goes
so
into
much work involved in it.
Yes. So does all of your team have like a working at heights sort of safety? No? Yeah.
No.
So, wow, I suppose a lot of them would just stay in the workshop, right? There's only certain
you don't
people
have
that
to
need
actually, they send words out. It's usually myself, Kyle, or Gareth if he has to. You don't actually have to take, I mean, again, I keep using the word best practice, but obviously you're all harnessed up.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, a classic is when we go and do a billboard, they've gone through all of their safety procedures with the high ab and the cherry picker that they're using. And so they know what they're doing, and you're under their auspices. So basically, as you're climbing into that, you're clipping on, you can't do this, you can't do that, and very strict, you know, fall arrests on the harnesses and all of those bits and pieces. The same with when you're hanging off there, tools being attached to you or in the bucket so that you haven't got anything that can fall and go through glass conservatories and things.
Goodness. So, I mean, I've been to your workshop, and I've been to your warehouse, which is next to your workshop, and that's sort of quite central in Auckland. It's would you call it Newton? Is it Newton area?
Yeah, Eden Terrace.
Eden Terrace. And so, why there? Like, would you not be able to rent it? I mean, that's a huge space, and that warehouse is massive.
Yeah.
Why so central?
We moved in there over 30 years ago, and yes, we should have moved out. We're very slow learners and slow things. Should have moved out 20 years ago. And because we didn't, just like the spray booths and the workshop, if you were to set up the workshop anywhere else on a new premises, it would be a minimum. When you look at the compressors, you look at the fans, our fans in those spray booths are 1,100.
I mean, we had a play with them when I was there, right? And they, for context, when you're spray painting, there's a huge fan that with foam over the top, that sucks all of
it takes all of the toxins out.
Yeah.
Well, it takes it in the filters and things like that.
So
but basically, if you're standing on the back side of the things, you can paint there and nothing's coming towards you. Yeah. Yes, you're wearing masks, respiratory stuff if needed, but all of those things, you're talking a minimum of 250,000 to set up everything that we have. Yes, it's got no value anymore, but to do that, and it's just too hard. It also has been a wonderful thing when all the ad agencies, and we were coming all the time working with you at Sky City and doing things, is when you could get around the city before they decided to block it all off with cones everywhere, it was fantastic. You could be anywhere 5-10 minutes, and we didn't waste any time travelling. You were either in the workshop or you were working. You're not travelling in from QMU or travelling in from, Manukau. Yes, it's the wrong place to be now, but we've got a pretty good landlord, and as we've been there for so long.
Yeah. Right. In the warehouse, I mean, you took me into the warehouse. It's filled with unbelievable stuff. But I do wonder, why do you keep so much of it? Are people paying you to store that stuff, or is some of it you just don't want to throw it away?
Some yes. Some of it's, resin, whether you've got the stilettos.
The giant stiletto that's taller than we are. How high is that?
Oh, they're 2.4.
2.4 metre stilettos for resin,
Yeah.
So do they want them back? Are they...
Yeah. So they go out on display and things like that. And then there's stuff for Sky City that we hold on to. Yeah. There was stuff for Spark. There was stuff...
What about the giant Lego people that are...
no, that was an artist.
So you don't think... so because it's an artist, you can't sell that, can you? So are you keeping it just out of nostalgia? Like, that was cool, I don't want to throw it away.
Well, some things are too... whether it's a horse, a sheep, a giant cow, moulds of wine bottles, giant 3-metre wine bottles, Coke bottles,
do you upcycle
cups.
The stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do everything that we can to do so. We try to keep moulds of things, and then you can reproduce them, certain things. So we try to sell it on to the people. That's it. They've bought it. You keep it.
Yeah.
Because...
But people don't have anywhere for this stuff.
Even though we're in an incredibly wasteful business and an environment, we do what we can to recycle all of our metals, all the timber pieces, everything that we can possibly do, the plastics, the polystyrene, anything like that is recycled. And so when we keep things, we're trying to reuse bits and to use them on. And what I'm always trying to do with the client is, I need this thing and it needs to be 5 metres tall. What are you going to do with it afterwards? I don't know, nothing. Well, if it was 3 metres, is it the sort of thing that you'd have in your foyer? Oh, yeah, that would be nice. At 5 metres, it's not going to fit, but at 3.4, 3.5, yes, it will. Oh, and you could take it to a trade show. Oh, that's a great, and suddenly something is used again and again and again, as opposed to this one-off, which is just so
Yeah,
painful.
because I was going to say a lot of the stuff, the materials and things that you use wouldn't be able to be recycled in a traditional sense, but you can certainly upcycle things a lot.
Totally.
And,
Yes.
and try and convince clients to reuse or repurpose things. And one thing I wanted to talk about was the first time that I went to your workshop, there was a line of cow bums.
Yep.
Do you remember the cow bums?
Yeah, we're still doing them.
Tell me about the cow bums.
Okay, so that was for LIC. And
what does LIC
LIC, livestock improvements. They basically, and so what it's for. And when I say vets, it's training up veterinary and doctors
students,
and basically students for. And what we worked in with MW Design, and basically these went not only all around the country, they went to Germany, to Sweden, and it was a fully working cow's reproductive organs.
Even all the muscles and the organs and stuff inside them.
So what it is, it's the tube going to the cervix, going to the uterus, and so that was all silicone and all pressurized. So basically what you have to do, it's for artificial insemination, and it's quite sad. They used to practice on cows going to the abattoir and things like that. But what happens is in artificial insemination, it's a very long tube, and that comes to the cervix, and they have to go through the cervix, and that giant needle has to sit perfectly through there and bump there.
So people who didn't grow up on a farm like me, I've seen it done many times. You do put a very long glove on, and you put your hand right up there into the backside of a cow, and then you put a long tube in, and then the bull's semen ends up into the cow, and that's how they reproduce. And so basically it's a training exercise.
And so by having those cows, the windows on the side are so you can see what you're doing. So the pieces are, but the tube's as tight. It's all molded from it. The rubber's got a similar thing to your skin. The whole of the inside of the cow was heated and pressurized, and the loops, and so basically when you're doing that, it would feel and look exactly the same as it does. And by doing that, you put the needle through a piece of silicone, you can repair that quite easily, and
and it means
no cows were hurt.
It
during
means that no cows had to be
so very
assaulted.
But looks very funny when you see a whole load of cows set up.
It's just such an interesting. It just shows that you do such unique and interesting projects all the time.
It's part of. We don't always see our part on that. MW Design came up with the whole concept and all the pieces, and they're still producing. We're still producing more, But basically, we'll do all the fiberglass, the back end of the cow, and so basically you've just got half a cow. But I think they probably sold over 20 into Germany.
Wow!
And that's the lovely thing about New Zealand, and I think we should be doing more of those sorts of things. We should be that sort of R&D, intuitive design centre where you can test things out on a very small market here in New Zealand, work all those things out, and then farm them out to it. We're never going to be able to manufacture to compete on a world market, but we can come up with brilliant ideas. Whether it's Fisher and Paykel, whether it's Navman, whether it's livestock improvements. These people need to be at the forefront, like Gallagher's, all these things, coming up with these, and we would be like, let's say Silicon Valley, whatever, the sort of design centre. People would love to live over here and be doing those sorts of jobs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're very innovative when we want to be here in New Zealand. Something that's a little bit less innovative maybe, but quite fun, was something I remember of yours, which was the Popsicle Band. I mean, I had to ask around and ask if people remembered the Popsicle Band on TipTop Corner, because it was very significant in my childhood, because I'm from Northland and we drive past Auckland. Every time we went on the Auckland motorway, we'd be like, nose to the glass, like, it's the Popsicle Band, it's TipTop Corner.
Yep.
So,
God, that's going, what would that be?
They're not there
25,
anymore.
no, 25 years. I don't know where they went. They were up there for ages, though. They were there probably 15 years.
Yeah.
It was a fun job.
Yeah. They were huge, weren't they?
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a lot of things like that. The eggs that you found around during Easter, they were all painted in different things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who was the client for that?
We've done quite a few of those. It's a company out of, I can't remember the name of the company, out of England, and they're basically, it's like the cows all being painted, the sheep, the whales' tails, and we've just done all the Kiwis. Kiwis actually aren't that company, they're from they're Gallagher, the insurance company.
Oh, right.
But you produce a load of items, when I say a load, 20 to 40 of exact replicas of things that sit on plinths, and basically it's a fundraising exercise that artists paint.
Yeah.
And then they're sold off to the public.
So we had different eggs and that were around Auckland that people had to find, and they were painted in different ways from different artists.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the Kiwis. I don't know about the Kiwis. What was
The
situation?
Kiwis are Gallagher's, and it's Save the Kiwi.
Oh, right.
And so we produced 26 or something last year, and we're just producing another 18 now for Queenstown. And so it's like an art trail. You see them all the time, and so it'll be.
And are they all painted differently as well?
There'll be 18 different, and some of them quite famous. Like one of the Kiwis was Dick Frizzell, and then there was, I'm trying to think of a few other grand ones, but we've worked in with a lot of artists.
And were they painting them, or was it the same thing that they'd give you the artwork and
No. They would paint them.
Right.
They'd come back and we'd seal it in, or sometimes, for example, with the eggs, some of the artists said, well, it's a bit boring, an egg. I want it chopped, broken, and things like that. So we'd break it, then they'd paint it and things like that. So it's same with when we did some sheep, we chopped the sheep up and sliced them like that and moved them out. And so very varied.
Exciting things. And looking back over the years, is there one particular project that stands out to you?
The one that my kids give me a lot of grief about, and is that we did a giant pirate ship, which was... It wasn't a pirate ship. It was a divider at Sydney Aquarium.
Oh, yeah.
And it's for the dugong enclosure. And if you've ever seen a dugong, they're the funniest looking weird creatures you've ever seen. And basically the male and the female dugong get on sometimes.
Yeah.
But like lots of people, they don't get on very well.
I see.
So they only had the same area open, so they wanted something to block them off. So this was a slither of a pirate ship, all broken, but basically on the brakes it was acrylic. But we're talking 20 metres long,
right,
by 4 metres tall. So it's pretty big.
It's huge.
So we made this whole pirate ship up here, broke it down, went into containers, went over there, went over to install it. And they had made a load of mods to the tank, and they decided to come in from the gantry and where things were going to go and everything. And it wasn't going to, you've made this thousands of dollars, and the acrylic's like 20 mil acrylic all on these fiberglass frames. It changed. And so the only way it was going to fit was if we turned it round the opposite way. So my kids constantly say, oh, you're the one that made the pirate ship the wrong back to front, Does
it still look all right, though? I mean, it's just...
Oh, it's perfect.
Pirate ship looks great
It looks no different. You walk down the corridors and, it's like, I don't even say why you're saying that, kids, because it looks exactly as if you're walking down that way or you're walking down that. It doesn't matter which way round it is.
Yeah.
But it was just bizarre that you spent all this time on these drawings and then it's like, that cutout is going to be better if it's this way round.
Yeah, having to change things at the last minute. And what would you say is... what would you say has been the key to Bootleg's longevity over all this time?
I think it's the sort of that can do that we talked about, and I think that it's just always doing your best, always trying to give a client or anybody who's come in value for money, that you've left them with something that that helps, whether it's the job, it's a smile on their face or whatever like that. It sounds sort of hairy-fairy, that sort of artistic thing, but that is incredibly important. And why I say that is that basically is your selling point also to that client coming back. That the creators will move agencies or move around and do many different jobs over the years. And we've got some that we're working with that we worked with 30 years ago. We won awards together 30 years ago, and they'll still come, Carl, that's, they're only coming to you because you've done the right thing by them.
You've proven yourself.
For the last 30 years,
Yeah. And Carl, what are you most proud of?
Children, 4 boys.
Yeah.
I think being able to go through, we've been through ups and downs, COVID, classic, all sorts of problems as a business. We've had people, when I say people leave, staff not turn up for jobs when there's crucial things, when you're filming and doing all these things, is that we've always made it through.
Yeah.
We managed to keep it together. I have to say, nowadays, it's getting a bit, can I even say it, tiring. It's exhausting trying to be as pumped and as positive that we've been over the last 30 years.
Well, it's also your job to keep everyone else pumped and positive, which is hard.
You've got to set the marathon pace somewhere.
Yeah. And final question, Carl. What is the best part of your job?
Solving the problems.
Yeah. Problem solving.
Yeah.
And you're good at it.
You just never. A classic one was for an agency that came in and they wanted this. It was for the wearable arts, Wellington wearable art thing, and Mazda was sponsoring them, and this giant headdress that they wanted over this Mazda. I mean, like 3 meters wide, 4 meters, just beautiful lace headdress, and they wanted this whole thing carved out and made in fiberglass. We had like 3 weeks, and I said I couldn't do it. I said we can't. I don't know how we can. And I couldn't sleep that night. And I couldn't do that. And then going the next day, you're making something up and saying there must be a way. And so I got these flats and started curving, and we cut bits out. And I made a little model, and I took it in, and they go, well, that's what we want. That's exactly. I said, well, we can CNC it out of aluminium and weld it, and we'll be able to do that. And so, lo and behold, 3 weeks later, it wasn't how they had exactly said it with all of the things, but it looked. If I could show the picture, and so client was happy, they were happy, and we managed to do it. And that's that thing is. Sometimes you solve the problem and the job never goes ahead, but that's what you're doing all the time.
Yeah.
You're just there going, how could you do this? How could we make that better? How's that going to work?
That must be really satisfying.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Carl, we've been here for an hour and a half now.
Jeez.
I really appreciate you coming in. I know how busy you are, so it's great that you could carve out some time in your week for me, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks so much.
Cheers, Susie.